Well, I have some bad news. Our government is now officially shut down because we don't have funding to pay the federal workers. Trump really is running the country like it's one of his businesses. He said he would.
Traditionally, the senior leadership of the U.S. military never claps for political speeches. That's the tradition. They're supposed to be nonpartisan and sit there stone-faced. It's like doing stand-up for Easter Island heads. So Trump didn't love the crowd.
I've never walked into a room so silent before. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room.
Roger that.
How sloppy, incompetent, and corrupt is Donald Trump's DOJ? Just take a look at what happened in the Central District of California, where a federal judge dismissed a criminal indictment against somebody who ICE shot and claimed that the person they shot was the aggressor, and the judge cited just how sloppy and incompetent the DOJ in the Central District of California was, turning over discovery and documents late, missing documents and videos and other things in the discovery. The judge described the conduct by the DOJ as essentially a train wreck that deprived the criminal defendant, who's now innocent. The case was dismissed with prejudice, depriving him of his constitutional rights. Now, and it's not just any criminal defendant, it's a major social media influencer by the name of Carlitos Richard Parias.
Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert just destroyed Donald Trump on live television, and Trump is having a complete meltdown. The President of the United States, the man who's supposed to be running the country, is spending his days rage posting about late-night comedians at midnight, threatening their broadcast licenses, celebrating their cancellations, and weaponizing federal agencies to silence them. And why? Because Kimmel and Colbert won't stop exposing the truth about Trump's Epstein connections.
Did you ever think the President of the United States would be celebrating your unemployment?
I mean, that son of a bitch, you know, is really unbelievable.
Mr. Son of a bitch.
I mean, Mr. Yes, yeah, no, I never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this, and I hope we don't ever have another president like this again. I mean, I never even imagined there would ever be a situation in which the president of our country was celebrating hundreds of Americans losing their jobs. As somebody who took pleasure in that, that to me is the absolute opposite of what a leader of this country is supposed to.
The Trump regime ICE accused him of driving his car back and forth, hitting law enforcement cars that had boxed them in, causing the ICE agents to fire at him, and then some of the bullets ricocheted and hit the guy. I think this follows in a line of other cases too, where I don't think there's any other cases where ICE shot somebody, blamed the person they shot of engaging in the criminal conduct. I think in all of those cases, they've all been dismissed at this point because ICE and Trump were lying. And when it came to the criminal process where you got to produce discovery and turn things over, they were not complying with the appropriate.
His authoritarian attacks on free speech and his desperate cover-up of evidence about a convicted sex trafficker. This isn't political commentary. This is documented accountability journalism that Trump is trying to destroy through corporate intimidation, FCC threats, and DOJ manipulation. Subscribe to USA Press and turn on notifications because we're documenting every moment of this unprecedented assault on press freedom and every explosive Epstein revelation that's driving Trump insane. Let's start with the most insane moment. December 23rd, 2025 at 12:16 a.m., literally minutes into Christmas Eve morning.
On Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go f yourself.
He's gunning for our journalists, too. He's suing them. He's bullying them. Over the weekend, his foxy friend Pete Hegseth announced a new policy that requires journalists with Pentagon press credentials to sign a pledge promising not to report information that hasn't been explicitly authorized for release. That includes unclassified information. They want to pick and choose what the news is.
Process. Also, this U.S. District Judge Fernando Olguin says that defendant was deprived of access to counsel while being detained, and the government's failure to comply with court deadlines. You know, an interesting insight that I have, being from Los Angeles and previously being a litigator who practiced in federal court, I know Judge Olguin. I know that he is a no-nonsense judge, a stickler for deadlines, and if you missed an expert disclosure or you missed anything, even by a few hours, and you asked for help, I mean, he was the kind of guy who would say, no, so sorry, you're out of luck. And what's so fascinating to me,
Trump couldn't sleep. He was watching a December 8th rerun of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and he completely lost his mind. Trump posted on Truth Social, "CBS should fire. No, put him to sleep now. It is the humanitarian thing to do. Pathetic train wreck Stephen Colbert had the audacity to mock my hosting of the Kennedy Center Honors. He called me Grandpa Puddin' Skull and fact-checked me on live television." Let's break down what actually happened.
Feel free to check out our science wing while you have a chance. But you know what? Congress's loss is Love Island's gain, and I wish her a lot of luck. Marjorie is out, and Mamdani is in. Trump, I don't know if you saw this, but Donald Trump hosted a highly unlikely Friendsgiving on Friday at the White House for the incoming mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani. Most people were expecting fireworks, but they did not expect them to be the Katy Perry kind.
Just days ago, you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you'd be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks?
I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay, you can just say yes.
Okay,
So.
all right.
Okay? It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't know.
I don't mind. Who are we kidding? I don't even know what despot means. Call me whatever you want.
Because yesterday, after months of Trump fighting tooth and cankle to hold back the Republican Party from doing the right thing, he just went ahead and gave up and signed the bill to release the Epstein files. Yeah. One day you're going to have a very complicated conversation with your grandchildren about why you just cheered.
Interest rates are down, and now we are starting to see the affordability. The prices get better. We had a very big October for home sales. Energy prices, gasoline is down. We saw, we believe healthcare is going to come down. We will see an announcement this coming week on that. And so across the board, prices are starting to come down. We're having Thanksgiving week. This will be the lowest cost for a Thanksgiving dinner in 4 years. Turkey prices are down 16%.
On December 8th, 2025, Colbert devoted his monologue to mocking Trump's hosting of the Kennedy Center Honors. Trump had bragged that he was a better host than Jimmy Kimmel was horrible. If I can't beat out Jimmy Kimmel in terms of talent, then I don't think I should be president. Colbert's response was devastating. You can't and you shouldn't. Then Colbert fact-checked Trump live on air. Just a quick brain check for Grandpa Puddin' Skull. I called Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel has never hosted the Kennedy Center Honors. But here's the thing. I did, the 3 years leading up to Trump becoming president. The 79-year-old Trump had confused Kimmel and Colbert. He couldn't remember which late-night host had actually hosted the Kennedy Center Honors.
Here in New York, to punish you for disliking him, Trump is putting $18 billion worth of New York City infrastructure projects, like the new rail tunnels under the Hudson and the Second Avenue subway project, on hold to make sure the money isn't being used to support DEI. Apparently, they think trans stands for transportation over there, and they want to stop it. This is clearly an abuse of power.
It has been a tradition here at The Late Show since yesterday that the major party candidates sit down with me for an interview in October. We invited Kamala Harris to be our guest this evening, and she accepted. That interview in a moment. In the interest of fairness, We also invited former President Donald Trump to go himself. He declined our offer.
Is the idea that the DOJ has been turned into basically like Trump's sloppy law firms that miss deadlines. Remember how we've always covered Trump when he was a civil defendant or a plaintiff in the civil cases where he sues people for billions of dollars, or even the criminal cases. And remember how we would report all the time, like Trump blew another deadline and they missed this. And the courts would be like, you don't know how to do cross-examination, Alina Habba. Like, do you need help with the rules of evidence? Now the DOJ is doing that, and it shouldn't be a surprise because Trump's picking people.
Called him out for it, producing huge laughs from the audience by showing pictures of himself at the event. Colbert also mocked Trump's fake FIFA Peace Prize award that Trump had been bragging about. It's like asking for Super Nintendo and getting Super Retendo with Super Marion Brothers, Colbert joked, comparing Trump's made-up FIFA prize to his desperate, failed attempts to win a real Nobel Peace Prize. So what did Trump do? The President of the United States stayed up past midnight on Christmas Eve watching a 2-week-old rerun of a late-night comedy show, got so angry he couldn't sleep, and posted at 12:16 a.m. demanding CBS fire Colbert immediately. CBS should fire. No, put him to sleep now. It is the humanitarian thing to do, Trump wrote.
To unplug and reboot Sean Hannity 5 times after this meeting. This is the reaction at the Fox Business Channel.
Wow. Just one word, wow.
Hey, is that a good wow or a bad wow? Or a sham wow? Nobody knows. After weeks of painting Mamdani as the 4th horseman of the Trumpocalypse, they didn't know what to do with themselves. This is how upside down this crop of MAGAteers is. They're mad at Trump. Some of them are furious at Trump because he was friendly with the new mayor in New York. Last week, he had a big celebratory dinner for the Saudi prince whose goons dismembered a columnist for the Washington Post. No problem. This, too much. I got news for you guys. Anybody who was surprised that Trump got along with Mamdani should not be surprised. Trump,
like Alina Habba, who's since been disqualified to lead major divisions in the DOJ. And the Central District of California also had a guy who was like a pretender United States attorney for a little bit of time. He wasn't approved and confirmed by the Senate. At least he doesn't call himself the United States attorney anymore. He calls himself like an acting deputy or some title like that. But when you've got people like Halligan and Habba, and these people who don't know what they're doing, this is the result, especially when you also have the brain drain of thousands of DOJ lawyers and FBI agents who knew what they were doing leaving the DOJ. And do y'all remember when we reported last week when I was doing a hot take with Harry Littman about, one of these cases where the DOJ said they couldn't meet deadlines before the New Year's because they didn't have the technical expertise in order to delete files or produce files in a relatively simple discovery request? That's what you're dealing with here. Let me just show you.
The language is chilling. Put him to sleep is what you say about euthanizing animals. Trump is using euthanasia language about a television host who fact-checked him. This is the President of the United States threatening a comedian for making fun of him. On Christmas Eve? At midnight. Because he's so fragile he can't handle being called Grandpa Puddin' Skull. But here's what makes this even more significant. CBS had already canceled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert 3 days after Colbert called Paramount's $16 million Trump settlement a big fat bribe on air.
A man at the Cheesecake Factory ordering his shy young boyfriend dessert.
He really ran an incredible race, and I congratulated him. It's an amazing thing that he did. I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help. We're going to help him. We're going to be helping him. I'll be cheering for him. A lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that.
What a turn of events! It was like he was giving a wedding toast to his new son-in-law. He's effusive. It's almost as if, and I know this sounds crazy, it's almost as if Trump doesn't have any real political convictions at all. He just says whatever, whenever. I mean, look at these two. They're smiling. He's grabbing his hand. He's touching him all over. He could not keep his hands off the Zoran. I mean, get a Lincoln bedroom, you two. He touched him more in that press conference than he's touched Melania all year.
How the local news reported this, and the fact that this is the DOJ that looks like a sloppy law firm, a sloppy solo lawyer. Let's take a look at this. Let's play this clip.
Federal judge has dismissed an indictment against a TikTok streamer shot by a federal agent in October in South LA. That judge says Carlitos Ricardo Parias, who goes by Richard LA, was denied access to his lawyers while being held in detention. The judge also cites the government's failure to meet discovery deadlines, including timely release of body camera footage of the shooting. Agents accused Parias of ramming his car into their vehicles after they boxed him in, but video raises some serious questions about those claims. His trial was set to begin on Tuesday. The judge dismissed the indictment with prejudice, meaning prosecutors...
Let me explain this timeline, because it exposes the entire authoritarian playbook. July 14th, 2025. Colbert calls Paramount's $16 million settlement with Trump over the 60 Minutes Kamala Harris interview a big fat bribe. He says it on air. He calls out his own parent company for capitulating to Trump to get FCC approval for the $8 billion Skydance merger. July 17th, 2025.
Well, I tell you, folks, I definitely did not call this one, but evidently The Late Show has outlasted the United States federal government. Because we're still open and they done shut down. But you know what? Maybe this is a good thing. You know, the government hasn't been working that great lately.
Just to give you some perspective, the government being shut down is even worse than when it's up and running. Republicans would like you to believe that Democrats shut the government down, but the bill they wanted the Democrats to sign would knock out about 15 million Americans from health insurance. If this bill passes, your health insurance premiums could go up 75%, so there was no way the Democrats could vote for it. It's like like going to dinner and the waiter says you must order lasagna. The chef made it today. And a bunch of you are going to get food poisoning from it. But if you don't eat it, you've ruined the meal.
Cannot refile the same charges again, but Parias could remain in detention as his immigration case moves forward.
Let's bring in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, the Talking Feds podcast, and the Talking Feds Substack. Harry, the reason you're called Talking Feds is when you started, it was feds who were talking to each other. Top right. People, top federal prosecutors. You were the top federal prosecutor in a district in Pennsylvania. You were a top federal prosecutor at Maine Justice. So when you see this, the DOJ handling cases like this, you bring a unique perspective. Share it with us, Harry.
3 days later, CBS announces The Late Show with Stephen Colbert will be canceled, ending in May 2026. The official reason? Purely a financial decision against a challenging backdrop in late night. But CBS's claim doesn't add up. The Late Show was the #1 rated show in its time slot. Yes, it was losing CBS $40 million a year on a $100 million budget, but so was every late night show. The economics of late night television have been terrible for years.
Mr. President, I want you to know sometimes when I watch you striding across the White House lawn so confidently, with so much masculinity, I'll admit it, I get sexually aroused. Thank you for breathing life back into my once slumbering penis.
That was very well stated, listen.
So Trump told Republicans to all vote for this. He was clearly furious that they did. He signed the bill after the White House issued a so-called photo lid, which shut down any on-camera opportunities. He signed it off camera, and he'll sign anything on camera. Executive orders, sneakers, lady parts, wall parts, a toddler. Trump is avoiding cameras. That's like the Pillsbury Doughboy avoiding nudity.
Well, thanks. And everything you say, Ben, about the sloppiness and the just inexplicable failure to meet deadlines and the like is true. But I think it's clear from the opinion that there's a lot more than sloppiness going on. This has a little bit of the flavor of the Abrego Garcia case and the way that the department is trying to play both ends against the middle, the ends being the criminal process and the immigration process. So here's what happened. First, when the judge here lays out the facts, he just takes the facts as presented.
The question Americans deserve answered is simple. What are they hiding, and why? Representative Ro Khanna added, DOJ is spending more time protecting the Epstein class than the survivors, whose names are required by law to be redacted. This is what Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert have been exposing. The cover-up, the lies, the weaponization of federal agencies, the pattern of Trump attacking anyone who tells the truth, and Trump's response is to try to silence them through corporate intimidation.
Not even Thanksgiving. She says Congress is beholden to the super wealthy and ignores the needs of ordinary Americans. She says her party has no plan for health care and that the Jeffrey Epstein files are not a hoax, as the president claims they are. To which I say, welcome to reality, Marge. We're glad to have you here. Make yourself at home.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on. Are the Epstein files out yet? No? Okay. How about now? Are they, All right, just checking. You'll let me know. Stop me in mid-sentence if anything happens.
By the defendant, and you heard in the clip you just played that there's real doubts about the DOJ story. Well, here's the story as presented by the judge. They box him in. He's trying to get out. They break the passenger window. They put a gun in there. That's deadly force. You may not do that unless you're threatened with deadly force, and they shoot him in the arm. And then, of course, as seems to happen every time there's this kind of encounter, he's the guy who winds up getting charged with, and the charges that were dismissed were assault on a federal officer. So there's a lot of
Nexstar seeking $6.2 billion merger approval, immediately pulls Kimmel from 32 stations, Sinclair Broadcast Group follows, creates climate of fear. Every network with a merger pending capitulates to Trump. Every comedian who exposes Trump faces cancellation threats. Every corporation chooses profits over press freedom. But Kimmel and Colbert aren't backing down. Colbert is using his final season to go harder than ever. Kimmel just got his contract renewed through 2027. ABC couldn't cancel him after his ratings exploded to record highs. Seth Meyers called Trump's administration